Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. And everybody, I mean all of you, welcome to Beyond the Ordinary Show. And we're diving in today with one of my favorite people in the world, Ana Maria Vasquez. And if you've experienced her, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're in for such a treat. And be prepared because we're going to dive into a lot of Q&A. So take this opportunity to raise your hand, ask your personal questions. Most of today's call is going to be focused on that. Ana Maria was very specific that she wants to be sure that she serves you in this way. And there's a reason behind it that's going to open up more. So sit back, raise your hand, ask your personal question. Let me do a brief intro, and we're going to give you some context for today's call, and then we'll dive into Q&A, y'all. So again, today we're going to be talking about reclaiming an ancient ally of healing for you and your animals. And again, Ana Maria Vasquez, again, she's amazing. Her ability to tune in and really get to the roots of what's festering. And we were talking about this earlier. It's like, how do we get to that thing that's festering so that we're not just sitting on the superficial level, so that we can really go into the healing that's ready to be nurtured, that's ready to just sprout new blossoms from what seemed like it was petrified before, and it's not. It's just a rebirthing that's taken place with the proper attention and focus and love. What that festering and the healing of that can gift you is so much more than you can ever imagine. And we're all going through these beautiful transitions in that. So again, Ana Maria Vasquez, she's a multi-sensory animal and nature intuitive. By the way, you can ask questions about your animals as well today. She's a natural energy reader who lifts the veil between what's happening in the 3D world and the energetic patterns behind it. So through teaching, speaking, and remote sessions, Ana Maria's profound connection with the natural world sources her in helping you understand the messages coming from the animals and nature while unpacking your intuitive backpack. I love that you say that. She's the author of Nature, Divine Experiences of Trees, Plants, Stones, and Landscapes, a shamanic practitioner, which the shaman aspect in Maria is coming alive in me all of a sudden, so profoundly over the last few weeks. There's something in the air about it. And she's a certified intuitive strategist and a sacred stories luminary. And with that, Ana Maria, welcome back to BTO as always.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really excited to hear that, right? Because like we said, we have a personal connection, and so to hear the excitement about, right, what the plants are talking to you about too, and waking you up. And the truth is, all of us, we've had so many different lives, so many different embodiments. And so what I'd like to do in honoring of the plants, in honoring of the earth medicines, for all of us to call on our medicine women, our medicine men within us, within our ancestry, within our past lives, and to be supported, really feel that come in, because this is about us collaborating with the plant intelligence in a different way than most of us have been taught. And I really have been feeling, again, this next level expansion for folks in their own connection to this earth medicine.
That's beautiful. I love the way you put that. And don't you strongly feel that everybody has that connection? It's like people talk the shamans, and there's this debate, who calls themselves a shaman and whatever. And I say, forget the labels. That connection just exists without having to put categories on it, and the intimacy that we can touch not only within ourselves, but through the relational dynamics of these elemental beings and divinity that exists or coexist with us now at this time.
Yeah, and it's more important now than ever. And I totally honor and respect the ancient teachings, and I have a profound guardianship of them as well. And concurrently, I also know we've shifted as humanity. It used to be we lived in small clans. We had our medicine people that we went to. We're at a time in our development where each of us needs to step into our own shamanism, into and all that is a way to walk between the dimensions, to bring in the information that you already have access to, but your cognitive brain gets in the way. And so we work with the drum, right? The heartbeat. We work with the plants and the animals, and we do things that we're learning now. There's a neurological reason that it puts us in that space. It transports us. And so the more that we can remember within ourselves this connection, that's how we begin to come back into true balance, into true health. So it goes beyond symptoms.
Right. Right. Well, I have a question for all of you in the audience. If you want to type in your answer in the chat box, we're talking about reclaiming these ancient allies. I'm curious who you think you might be connected to. I'm curious who you feel that intimacy might be running through you that is available to you, or I'm curious if you feel it's elusive to you, like somehow you can't connect. And if you want to type your question into the chat box, that would be fun to participate with you that way. Because I really want to bring up what's in our consciousness and also bring up what else is possible. And perhaps in your awareness of what's there, or what else might be there that might surprise you. Y'all aren't typing it in yet, but at least put some thought to it, and we'll see what comes through. And again, we're going to go through live Q&A so we can maybe go in deeper as you participate here in the chat as well. When you talk about these ancient allies and reawakening them, what does that mean to you right now?
What it means to me is everything that we need is here, right? What we need to hydrate ourselves, what we need to eat to nourish our bodies, what we need to bring our bodies back in balance when they're out of balance, it's all here in this closed system that we call Earth, right? It's really truly astounding when you step back and think about it. It's not like we have to truck things in or shuttle things in from another planet. Everything we need is here. And then when we look at the energetics of this dimension and their reflective qualities to show us, mirror back to us what's going on, right? Like it could be a physical body symptom, it could be a behavior or a physical symptom in your animal, but it's all got messages for us. And so often, right? Like this time together has been working me all day. James, my partner, was talking to me ahead of time and he said, "Are you excited?" And I said, well, they're working me. I said, I'm excited, right, to spend time with John and his people. I said, but I'm in the listening, because what I thought we were going to talk about is a little bit different than where they wanted to go, because our guides, our teams, our higher selves are tired of watching us spin our wheels and just be so surface and not going deep.
Right.
And so this is why we really want to look at not just what are the physical or behavioral issues going on for you or your animals, but let's look at the energy that it's reflecting back so you can really collaborate with plant intelligence to truly come into a transformation and move on, use your energy for something much more profound.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really grateful for this conversation also because, again, y'all are familiar and we've got some comments here in the chat. I'm going to read them in a second. But as we're going through these transformations and these growth spurts, they can seem like they're really taking down places that are causing a lot of wobble in our physicality, in our emotional state, where even the chemistry in our physicality is going through a churning in its own storm as it calibrates to what's becoming available. So if you look at the collective consciousness and the agreements, if you look at what's happening with the dynamics and the energetics of the earth and space storms and solar flares, if you look at what's happening in inner dynamics that are occurring in our interpersonal lives through our finances and the possibility of recession, of wars going on in the rest of the world, and what that is invoking for us, not taking away from us, but what's it invoking us, and what allies are there to help to support us, to bring us back into the wisdom that have us be in a space that we have faith, that we know that we're moving forward for a reason, that we're here for a purpose, that we do deserve the inherent joy that we feel that we do. There's a force that's pulling us forward, because if we were to sit in the dynamics of all the energies coming forward that can seem so overwhelming at times, why would we continue?
I'm like a bobblehead over here, right? Like amen, amen, and amen. And it's time for us, like you said, we deserve, right? That we've been trained and groomed and taught that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving. But the truth is, it's already inherent for us. And these density places that we get stuck take up a lot of our time. They take up a lot of our energy and keeps us dismissing ourselves, dismissing our inherent abilities, and really talking us out of brilliance. And it's time that really, like I just keep hearing, get on with it, right? It's time to get on with it. And the deeper that we bring consciousness into what's going on within us and around us, the easier it is to shape shift the energy, because your physical body, your animal's body, is an amazing divination tool. And it gives us this vibrational guidance system to really be able to go in and release what's been stored in the body. But we get, and this is the human condition, right? Like Buddha talked about it, this place where we already know, right? Like, oh, that's happening because I have trouble moving forward. Okay, I know, I'll transmute that later, right? And then we don't. And then it's 3 years later and we're still dealing with that hip pain or that knee pain or that foot pain. And we never really took the time to look at what the body was trying to tell us. We have, I hear this from the trees all the time. The humans ask a lot of questions, but they rarely sit and listen for an answer. They can't get a word in edgewise with us a lot of times.
Wow, I love that awareness. I'm guilty of that.
Right.
Totally. Totally. And it's, yeah, and going into different plant allies and with the animals and going on particular journeys. Sometimes those journeys that seem like you're dying are the most profound to have you really move forward. And it's those, again, that cause us to go beyond the superficial, because if we just get a little bit of relief, we'll be okay. Just a little relief. It's like, oh, okay, it's kind of gone, but then it kind of comes back. And then it seems like we're repeating the same patterns, that we're in the same loop over and over again. And we get enough relief just to start feeling good. So we're thinking on a different upswing, and then there we go again. And we really do have the opportunity, again, with the consciousness that's arising, with our abilities to be with ourselves, with our abilities to ground in the messages from the guides, from the cosmic realms, from the plant allies, from the trees, from the animals, and to realize that we're all one and that intelligence lives within us all, but how it goes through us. Our capacity for that is more profound than it ever has been before. So I'd love for you to talk more about that. And I think you had a story to share with us also about.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I'll share the story in a second, but there's this piece where all of nature, all of the earth, all the animals, all the plants, they're waiting on us to get it, right? Because again, we're kind of spinning our wheels here. The more we get it, the more we remember this unity consciousness, we live our lives very differently. We interact with the natural world in a different way, and more is revealed to us. But if we go through, right, like stuck in that egoic mind that, oh yeah, I already know, I already know, and we just let ourselves, right, get a little relief, but not enough, we re-ingrain that limitation in our lives. And I know for a lot of folks, right, that are attracted to the work that I do, they're not so much worried about themselves as they are the animals and the planet and the natural world. So it becomes that cosmic bait and switch, right? If you do your inner work, if you do your inner healing, it's going to make a difference for that natural world, for us to really usher in that new reality. So I love to tell on myself, right? Because I feel like I'm the poster child for all of this. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me, because I'm just so perfectly human in my reactions to things, in the questions, in my team is saying in the tantrums. They tell on me. That's why I have to tell on myself. So I had we were camping and I was walking and I hit a rock really hard, like on the heel of my foot. And I was like, ow, okay. And right away my head goes to energetics of, moving forward and bumps in the road, things like that. So I started looking at it, but I kind of put it to the side and then it would kind of hurt and then it wouldn't hurt. And then it would kind of hurt and it wouldn't hurt. And I would, again, do just enough to get a little bit of relief. And I knew, like I said, in my head, I was very surface with the it's just a moving forward thing. Okay. And then I could justify, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And this expansion is happening, but the foot kept hurting, right? And then it started getting worse and more intense. Like, even if I wasn't on it, right, it would hurt. So the official diagnosis of it is plantar fasciitis. So I injured it originally, that tendon, that's the shock absorber at the bottom of your foot. I injured that from the blunt force, but the energetics in my field were right? They're right there with that. So one day when it was very much in pain and I was waiting for the CBD to kick in, right, to release some of the pain, because it can take up to 30 minutes. I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I really need to look at this more, because what I'm doing is only getting me a little bit of relief and I don't want to limp around like this for much longer. So I sat with it and I was asking, show me the energetic implications of this thing we're calling plantar fasciitis. And there were two things that came through. And the first one, I was able to be like, yeah. But the second one really hit me in an old wound. So the first part was think about that tendon absorbs the shock. Where in my life am I the shock absorber for everyone around me? It doesn't take long to figure that out. And then where do I not, act in the ways to support myself through supporting all those people? So that one I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I know, right? So then the second part was about a fear around being able to support yourself. And when that came through, right, like that's not the reality. If you look, right, let's look at business sheets and stuff like that. But it's an old wound from my inner child growing up in poverty and when we moved so much and feeling like, oh my gosh, how are we going to make it to the end of this month, right? Like that was so absolutely embedded in me. And my overachiever, right, has done so much to make that's not a reality, but that fear is still there. That original wounding, that original imprint of you don't have what it takes to support yourself. And when I read that, it was like, whoa. And I have to tell you that the foot has gotten profoundly better. This was a recent piece, right? And to where I don't even notice it. But when you couple, right, that plant intelligence with the energetics, you have an ally there. You're not just taking something from nature, you're working in collaboration with nature. And that's profound. And that creates that amplification. And it allows you to turbocharge, right, these transformations. So we can go deep. And it doesn't have to be, trauma. We can go deep, get it at that deep level, not just have the realization, but have the actualization embodied, because the plant allies are sourcing us and we can have that forward movement. And we have just thought as humans that we have to do it by ourselves all the time. So we have trouble even asking our guides how hard is that to do?
Right. Did you find that the medicine of the CBD was able to penetrate at a deeper level because you had a willingness and an awareness of what was happening?
I would love to take the credit for that and say that I am so enlightened and expanded. But the truth is, right, absolutely, my little bit of faith that I can do it, even with my skepticism. But the bigger part of it is the way that our bodies are designed to interact with those compounds, with the molecules in
Okay.
that plant medicine. And it's a natural reaction to drop you into the heart space. It
Mm,
brings everything just down a little bit, and while it's doing all the physical things, and that allows you, it gives you the pause, right? So my dad, who doesn't necessarily know about or believe any of these spiritual kinds of things, but he was taking it for an autoimmune issue that he was having, and he called me one day and he said, you know what, that plant is changing me. And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, I don't know if you've noticed, I tend to, run off the handle kind of quick sometimes.
nah, I never
And he
noticed.
goes, right, I'm like, no, Dad, I never noticed that. So he goes, it's giving me like an extra second to think about what I'm going to say. And he
Mm,
goes, did you know it did that? And I was like, I do know that that's one of the benefits from it. I'm just grateful that you've had the experience with
right.
it.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. That's funny. That's funny. And I want to get into Q&A. We've got questions that are coming in the chat. We've got a hand raised. If y'all want to raise your hand and ask anybody a question, take this opportunity to do so. The raise the hand bar is at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get to you in here in just a second. I want to ask you, why is it that when things come up like that, sometimes we think we are going deep, but we really aren't? It's like, how can we, what is it that someone who's listening can do to maybe be in the curiosity or the openness of more being revealed?
Right. So it's interesting because, well, everything is energy, and understanding the mechanics is really where we start to change the game. And so, what the one thing that I'm thinking about is, right, when I'm working with folks, teaching them how to communicate with animals. And one of the things that happens is, they finally sit down to practice and read for someone, and they ask the animal a question, and they get like a fragment, and they get so excited that they got something, and they just go with that. They don't ask any more questions.
Yeah.
There's more information there. It's the same thing for us, right? Like, we get that little bit of an insight, which creates a little bit of space or relief in the field, and we just run with that. And part of it is those ingrained like lack of confidence, right? Where we believe we better just take the crumb and go. But if we were really, like with me, with the foot pain, I grabbed it. I was like, oh yeah, it's moving forward. Oh yeah, right. And we have to remember, we've got these fragmented parts that are like, yeah, take that, just go, because they don't want you getting to the root. They think that's going to cause death and destruction. It's not. So when we're able to look in deeper, we can see, not just grab the first thing, but say, okay, what else about the foot pain, right? Like, I walked myself through with my team on the energetics of the foot. What was it doing? What was it mirroring back? And when that insight came in, it was very different than the, yeah, I know that, right? So it's staying in the listening longer. Anyone who works with me knows I say that a lot about being in the listening on things, because it's where everything happens.
Right. So when you're in the listening, because I like to get my answers pretty quickly, and I know it doesn't always work that way. I'm like, okay, it's like, but then I'm also really good at letting it go and just trust that it's going to be revealed, and not shy about asking again. But I do want to reach out to and take the opportunity of a private session, because I am having an old back issue coming up, and it's like, okay. And I have a relationship with when these things come up that I invite them in. It's like, okay, there you are. It's like, I prefer for you not to be there, and this really sucks. And what are you trying to tell me that I haven't been showing up for? Or how can I show up in a way that I haven't been conscious that I wasn't showing up in?
Right.
Because
And
we
the
don't have to
truth
make
is,
ourselves
because
wrong,
I
right?
know you, right? I know you were conscious in those moments, but it's I'm hearing the Shrek movie. It's like an onion. It's got layers,
Yeah,
right? Like, and
exactly.
so you're in a different level of awareness. The work that you do inherently, right, has moved you into different levels of awareness. And so the insight that related before was great, but you have access to a lot deeper. But this is right where we tend to make ourselves wrong. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
guess I didn't get it. Well, we got it in the way that we got it, and there's a little bit more here
yeah.
for us to look at, to munch on, and we just don't want to own any of it, right? Because it is it's like a dowsing rod, but it's our body and it's saying, oh,
Mm.
something's going on here. But if we own it, like, oh, my sciatica is up, or my, frozen shoulder, or my, we just don't want to own it. We want to use all the diagnostics. It's great to help us know what's going on, and it gives us more information on the energetics. So then whatever path we take, I always say start naturally, then you can move yourself up as you need, but it gives the space for that to happen with greater ease. And
Mm.
when we're working with plant medicine, right, there's none of that neurotoxin scrambling going on and the side effects that your body's having to deal with it. And it frees up energy for your body and you to really move through things.
Yeah, the way I see the plant allies, and we'll talk about what you're offering with private sessions, and then how to work with these plants, and again, different allies. Um, but the way that I see it, also when you talked about your father, it's like we're running the consciousness, even of the pain and the confusion, the not knowing, the frustration, the anger, or whatever it is, or whatever. It's all running through this nexus point. That's the heart. And so we learn to ask from that space. We learn to be and accept from that space. We learn to say that we're ready to let go from that space. And that really changes the energetic of what we're capable of, and allows really for the mastery that we carry, that the plant medicine is reminding us of,
Yes.
to really just filter through and go into our system, and it changes us permanently.
It's so funny that you would say that about the mastery. I was in a channeled session just the other day, and it was an ascended master, and they were talking about mastery, right? Like, so often us humans just check off a list of accomplishments, right? Like, oh, I did that ceremony, that plant medicine ceremony. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. But where is our mastery? And we know this is what we're talking about, right? Using everything, not having anything be wasted in our experience, to help give us the insight, to help us bring it up for healing so we can shift it, whether we're talking about health issues, whether we're talking about money problems, right? It's about what is sucking our energy, where are we putting our focus? And it's, body issues are a great way to stay distracted, because, like a back pain or a foot pain or neck pain or chronic pain, you're distracted because it hurts and you don't want it to hurt anymore. And so it's easy to see why we can get and stay distracted. So we're asking, right? This is why we wanted to call in all our inner medicine people, so that we could be present and supported in this
Right.
shift.
That's beautiful. And again, we're talking about physical symptoms that are coming up, but these plant allies help with our emotional, with the neurochemical. It helps with our sympathetic nervous system, with the vagus. It really attunes and meets us to that which we're ready to transform. And I know a lot of y'all, so many of us are going through the agitation of being in the mind so much, right? So again, it's profound. I want to start getting into live Q&A if you're open.
Absolutely.
So I'm
It
going to
just
start.
feels right, because we want to give some practicality. We want to look at this, what's the energy behind it? How can the plant medicine help? So again, humans or animals, we can go whatever is up.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to mention again, with a plant medicine, I was in a deep ritual back in December. And I was shown something that was so deep. One of the major things that I'm really here to clear in this lifetime. And it was profound. And I saw the stickiness and the beauty and the ugliness of the vileness. It was amazing what was coming through. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what's coming up. And energetically, it felt like this release and an awareness of being with it. And I can tell you that up to right now at this time, I feel like in the last few months, I've been in the physical human form of the release of that. So it's interesting how the allies work with the intelligence of our body and our psyche to let us know when we're really ready to receive and release and accept and to grow. And it's not going to give us more than we're able to handle, but it's going to meet us and may even push us sometimes, which is so beautiful because it's right there. It's so right there.
Well, and that reminds me about the difference, right? Like intention is our superpower. So when we, right, because there are definitely people that recreate with different forms of plant medicine, and I'm not bringing judgment on anyone, but there's a difference when we use a plant medicine to go up and out of our body instead of setting an intention to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that. And then when you're in relationship with that plant, it's very different than trying to, tune out or turn it off. And right, it's a running away versus a opening up and surrendering.
Yeah. So, you're confirming a conversation I had with it so beautifully. Thank you. All right, let's get into Q&A. I'm excited to talk to y'all. I'm going to go from left to right. Safina, am I pronouncing that correctly? Safina, welcome. Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you to you both. I wrote in the chat about my dog, just
Husky.
diagnosed with Cushing's, and she's 12 years old. Her name is Molly, and she's a cockapoo.
Oh,
And we're so connected. And I'm wondering, like, I'm trying this natural medicine, just arrived about an hour ago. It's, and I guess I just want to believe in it so much that it's going to help her, and that we won't have to do conventional prescription meds on her. She's so sensitive. I'm sensitive. I have psychic, I have medium, I've got all of that. And why is she sick? And I've been in the darkness of it. I've been in the grief of it already. It's coming in waves, and it's a lot.
Yeah, right. I can feel that. Absolutely. Well, and your connection with her, that heart connection that the two of you have, I mean, it's profound. And this is the beauty of our animals, right? Because there are places where we can dismiss or pretend like we're getting it for ourselves. But as soon as it affects our animals, you've got my attention, right? I'm going to do what I need to do to help alleviate whatever could be adding to it. It's not that you're causing it, but our energy, it can contribute to. So, and I love the way that you're being guided to be with this too, right? Like, let's look at the natural ways first, but we got to let go of the attachment, right? Like, you can feel it. Like, I want this so badly to work, so I don't have to do it right away, right? We know we're giving ourselves a giant setup there. So, but don't judge it, be with it, right? Like, yeah, I'm freaking attached to not having to do this. And we know we want to look now at what's going on, so we can look at the energetics, and we look at, hello, Mr. Fly. You should go over there for a little bit. Then I'll get you go outside after. So when we're looking at something serious like Cushing's, right, it's a major digestive issue that's gone on where the system is not doing what it's supposed to be doing completely. And so we know that in our life too, I know he's going to come and land right on my nose here. We got to get that picture. It's going to be really good. By the way, flies are about abundance through persistence. So that's really good to know here. So we love you. Thank you. And more abundance, please. Less persistence, more abundance. So looking at what are you having difficulty digesting, right? Like, well, hello, just take a look around the world at this point. There's plenty to have difficulty in digesting. And then look at how the symptoms and how they're presenting themselves in your sweet dog, right? Is it a running off, in the stool? Is it the regurgitating? What's going on? You want to start to look at
Well,
that.
Cushing's isn't digestive that I know. It's adrenal. It's the adrenal stress hormone. It's cortisol running through their body, and they have the excessive thirst, and they're always hungry. And
Does interestingly have a digestive component that doesn't get
okay.
talked about. That's the thing, because certain things aren't being absorbed, and then it calls
Okay.
on the other systems to kick in to overdrive.
I see.
So this could also be, right, like I can feel this shifting in you too. Where are there things, right, especially as a profound energy worker, right, where are we relying on, where we're more efforting in bringing in our information than letting the natural flow happen? And so we might burn out, right, in some other area when we're
Yeah.
being asked. So start kind of putting that together, but really looking at the burning out of systems, right? What's not working? What is working? Begin to just ask, because your subconscious mind, this is what I love, is how our neurology mixes with the energetics. Your
Mhm.
subconscious mind cannot hear a question without going to find an answer. So
Yes.
keep your questions open-ended.
Yes.
Where could I be burning my own systems out? Where could I be overusing in one area and not another? Looking for that balance, and right, that
Mhm.
thirst as one of the symptoms being not getting your not that thought of not quenching something, right? So look at your
Yes.
desires. And what we do is, when we can't quench a desire, we simply turn it off or put it to the back burner and pretend like it's not
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
our team is like, no, you came here for a reason. And
Yeah.
that opportunity to shift that.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Oh, thank you. I did ask myself that. What am I thirsting for? What is that sort of hunger that's so insatiable and not being met? A need that's not
yes.
being met. Yeah.
Beautiful. So,
Okay.
so how can the plant allies benefit Safina and her puppy?
Yeah, and this could be one of two ways, right? When we're in this case, and you can see there's a lot of research. We're so lucky now to finally be able to do the research with the cannabis, with the hemp, to see what it's doing. And so again, supporting the overall endocannabinoid system to help the regulation of the other symptoms.
Mm,
So how big, how much does your pup weigh?
11 pounds.
Oh, just a little baby. And the sensitivity, right? So you
Yes.
always want to start low and go slow, because first of all, it's like gold, right? It's
Mhm.
in a little bottle and you do drop by drop. So I
Okay.
would start 2 drops and just put it right in the lip. And I ask that the plant help. Right. And for you, I would take it as well. 1 drop, because you're both so sensitive. I would do one
Yeah.
drop for you. I use the same bottle for me and my animals, because I'm always walking around and somebody needs something. So I just have it. But when I frequency and oil for somebody, in the order notes, they tell me what's going on, right? So this would be about balance for your beloved pup and yourself. This is more about your expansion, about stepping out of the old ways of doing it and into the new vibrations, because we don't have to burn ourselves out. And so for your sweet pup, it's about the body systems, right? The CBD helping the body systems. So you would start with the 2 drops. I would at this point just do once a day,
Okay.
and then look over a few days, start to notice, do you notice any difference? How long does it last? And then you might have to go
Mm,
up a drop, every few days, just to see where you're finding the most. For you, I think if as I'm feeling in here, it feels like 1 drop with the intention. Like I said, I frequency the oil, In
Okay.
this case, it would be for both of you, and you receive an MP3 of the plant's music, right? The bioenergetic field of our mother plants. And then you're getting the harmonic remembrance for the balance. And the clip that you get, there's a longer one, but you get a 90-second clip because you should hold the oil under your tongue for 90 seconds
Wow.
to
Okay.
activate it. So, right, we're working on multiple levels here, and the sunlight is hitting you in such a beautiful way. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh,
So wonderful. Safina, I want to share just what I'm seeing also. It's because it's right in alignment with everything that Anna Maria is talking about. Just to give you the empowerment and awareness that you already carry, but you just need someone to remind you just for a second. And I really see that medicine woman inside of you. So as you share the drops or whatever medicine that you give to your pup, really honor the journey. Stand in honoring the journey, stand in the strength and your awareness of that. And if you join them in the journey of the plant medicine, the drop, you take your drop also, or whatever the medicine is for you, and able to drop in like you're demonstrating for him that he can drop in, then you can meet in that place of where that intelligence is running both to you in proximity and intimacy with one another, holding the highest for each other. Holding the highest for each other, and make it a ritual in that way for you. It's a strengthening, it's tapping into your shamanism, your medicine woman energy. And not only will you hold that for your pup, you'll hold that for your clients and others that you're reading for. And it'll clear your energy because you're standing in the strength of the honoring and the dignity of the journey that we're all going through.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was beautiful and totally resonates.
Well,
Thank you.
wonderful.
That's
Thank
what
you
I
for allowing
wanted.
me to share.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Blessings. Okay, Anna Maria, let's move on. I had there's a question that came in that I want to pull up. Give me a second. And then there's lots of questions that came in that I want to pull up. Okay, here we go. There's a question from Cynthia. Oh, and Vicky also. Vicky, I'll get to your question a little bit, and more live calls. I'm going to get to you all. We're gonna go
I know,
through
right? It's like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Cynthia writes, I am releasing a lot of old energy in my abdomen area. Can you share some plant medicine, how some plant medicine might support the releasing?
Yes, absolutely. So what we know, right? Like I'm just going to talk about the CBD in terms of plant medicine for gut issues in general, right? Like when I work with folks who are going through traditional treatments for cancer and they deal with this, you know, the severe nausea, like beyond anything kind of nauseousness, they find that the oil, it brings so much relief, right? It's like, I have so many emails where people have said, you know, if my partner is getting relief or we couldn't get it, even from all the, you know, anti-nausea pills and medications. So it helps with that, like, again, calming things down, bringing a balance back in there, soothing the gut. And the one thing that I'm actually getting for you is with the rub, right? The rub is in like an ointment form that you can rub in. And so I actually see you applying that to the outside of the abdomen in the places that you're feeling that, and you're releasing it, right, to help draw that out while it brings you relief. Again, I would do the same thing as you're applying it, right? 90 seconds of, you know, rubbing that in, playing the music, asking the plant to help you, and ask for those insights on what you're releasing, because it's old, right? It's old stuff that doesn't resonate, but that has embedded itself in you. It feels very much like family stuff, you know, the bad inheritance stuff that we get are like, oh, no, I don't need that. But for you to release it, because it's like you took it all in and internalized it as if it was yours, right? So it's stored in those cells. And working with, again, your superpower of intention with the plant medicine to bring that out, release it, and bring you back into balance.
That's wonderful. As you answer that, Anna Maria, there's an opportunity again in the special offer. We're going to go through a special offer. It's the oils if you want to dive into the oils, or the oils plus a session with Anna Maria. Other than participating in the session with you, if that's just not an option, how could she find more depth into what's coming around her abdomen. Again, we talked about hitting those superficial levels and getting that
Yes.
relief that seems like it's effective, but then later it's like, oh, here we go again, right?
This is where, right, like, yeah, the whole market for CBD is saturated. Everybody has CBD, right? You see it everywhere. My dad will take pictures at gas stations and he's like, can you imagine what they used to extract that and sell it to you for $10? And I was like, oh, I'm like, hide it, pull it off the shelf. Don't, don't.
And the consciousness also in which it's fabricated. That's a whole nother conversation.
Exactly, right? And so I'm so grateful, right? Every meeting that I have with my grower starts with a hug and gratitude to each other for what we're doing and how we're listening. And so the part that people aren't doing is this harmonics with the plant intelligence, right? Every plant is emitting bioenergetics all the time that are in the forms of inaudible frequencies, harmonics, right? We can't hear it because it's outside of our audible spectrum, but they're emitting them all the time. And there's an eco village in northern Italy in Damanhur that has been studying plant consciousness and intelligence for decades. And they created a device that I'm honored to have where I get the plant's permission and I hook it up to the plant and it reads and translates the bioenergetic field into audible tones. It's a music that we could hear. And again, music isn't just music, right? There's sacred geometry in there. It is delivering at a different level to us. So again, if in this case, if she couldn't do the session with it where we looked some more, then listen to the music that comes with your order and ask that plant music to work with you. Like that plant is your coach. Ask it to give you the insights, right? It takes about 30 minutes for the plant medicine to activate in your system, and you notice it because of the physical pieces. But immediately, as soon as you ask that plant for help, the energetics are in motion. And once we put that in motion, we want to pay attention. So I would do that, right? Twice a day in the morning before she goes to bed. And be with that. And you can either play the 90-second clip or the 20-minute clip, right? And be in the listening, and asking those pieces, you will start to get that guidance through the practice of doing that, right? You create a new trail, let's say, that takes you into that energy.
And I love that you're bringing in the music from the plants also. And a lot of y'all may not know, you may be new to the show or have been on the conversations where I've traveled down to Peru and then sat with shamans extensively. And it wasn't until my last trip that I discovered that the songs that they sing while we're in ceremony are actually the translation of how long they have sat with the plants and the plants singing through them, the healing that's coming through for us in the ceremony. It was so profound and so beautiful. And the way that you're able to translate that resonance, that frequency through song in that way, Anna Maria, it just takes it to a whole another level and how accessible it makes it for everybody. So just the plant music alone is healing, healing. That's huge. I love that you're doing this. Where is the CBD oil base on your products? I'm allergic to coconut oil. Before you answer that, Anna Maria, and I'm going to take more questions, y'all. Let's get into the special offer so everybody can look at what's available there, and then we can answer questions about the specific product. So April, if you don't mind, type it in, or even if you do mind, do it anyway. Type in the link to the special offer in the chat box. There it is. I don't think she minded, but still,
You're lucky she loves you.
I think so too. Yeah, thank goodness. Y'all, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. Highlighted in blue. Is it highlighted or highlighted? I forget. Whichever one is correct, right? They're both partially right. It's highlighted in blue. Click on that. It'll take you to the special offer page. Or you can also open up a new web browser by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Anna Maria 29. And it'll take you to that same page. And Anna Maria, go ahead and guide us to what today's special offer is that you so always generously bring with us on BTO.
Yeah, I really felt in on this one to see, what's going to be the most sourcing. And I've been so in love with the CBD, the plant medicine, I've studied it extensively for the last 13 years from a medicinal aspect. I've worked with doctors, veterinarians, growers, herbalists, other folks who know this plant medicine. And so I've learned so much about its ability for pain relief, for relaxation, for inflammation reduction, for that brain balance pieces, right, that create the anxiety, the depression, for skin issues, for we know that everything starts with inflammation, and that seems to be the most potent piece. And
Yeah.
so working with the plant in where we're extracting and working with those constituents that are the CBD, it's all healing and no high, right? The cannabis plant has that THC component that creates the psychoactive aspect. When you're growing for CBD, you are not having that THC component. It's below 0.3%. So it's just so low that that's why it's all healing and no high. And when you're extracting, right, the CBD, you have to do it in a way to keep those constituents together. And when you pull it out, it's like tar, right? It's so sticky. It's very, very hard to work with. And for bioavailability, right, absorbability in the body, it needs an oil, it needs a fat to go with it. So in our drops, because my grower is profoundly brilliant, he speaks to policymakers about all of this with CBD. He has been a speaker at multiple conferences and conventions. There are other growers around the world that seek him out in his expertise. He's been featured in cannabis periodicals. He's gotten it to where our oil has been included in Johns Hopkins University testing on children. You
Wow.
don't do that when somebody has inferior products and when they have dangerous extraction practices. So it's important that you know these answers. So the oil that we use in the drops, we actually use grapeseed oil because if grapeseed oil is heated to a high heat, then it turns and it's horrible and it creates all sorts of issues. But when it is at a room temperature, it has amazing principles when you combine it with the CBD oil itself. So the drops, then if you have a coconut oil aversion, I would stick with the drops. In the rub, we do have a coconut oil and beeswax base. So you would want to be looking at that. I believe in these products so much, from everyday aches and pains on to folks who have bigger issues, right? With chronic pain, those folks who are healing and healing their body from all sorts of different things. One of my favorite testimonials comes from someone in our community whose father was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. And everybody knows, you know, what that looks like in terms of a prognosis. And he was given 6 months, and he tried to do the regular traditional treatments of radiation and chemotherapy, and it almost killed him. And so he said, I'm not going to do this. And if I only have 6 months, then that's what I have. His daughter told him about my CBD oil. He started taking that and working with a naturopath. And I'm happy to say, I believe we just passed the 3-year anniversary for him. He was just at his oncologist, and the oncologist said, I don't know what you're doing, but you don't have cancer anymore.
Wow.
So, you know, every body is unique. And so to give somebody relief, you know, to give an old dog relief from arthritis makes me just as happy as to keep a father around and a grandfather around, you know, several more years for his family. And to be able to be of service and to share the plant medicine in this way. But I'm a big proponent, right? Every time I go somewhere, I've got drops and rub with me. And my grower, one day he was in the grocery store and a little kid in line in front of him started having a seizure, an epileptic seizure. And he was like, oh my gosh, I don't have the drops. All I have is the rub. So he grabbed it and he said, take off his shoes and socks, right? Because of course you're not gonna put anything in anyone's mouth anyway if they're having a seizure, but you could take the drops and put them on the bottom of his feet. But he happened to have the rub with him, so he used that. And sure enough, it started to slow down and he started coming around, and his mother was amazed. She said typically his seizures are much more severe and they last much longer. And this is what we found with people who are working with CBD oil for that brain balance from epilepsy or other seizure disorders or tremor disorders, is they start first noticing a decrease in severity and the length and more time in between them, right? The brain is absolutely complex, so it can take a little more time to dial that in for a person or an animal dealing with those kinds of issues versus, right, like I was horseback riding and I'm sore. Let me take a couple drops in 30 minutes. I'm going to feel so much better. So I like to always have a bottle of the drops and a jar of the rub together, right? We've got it in each of our vehicles first aid kits. It's in our house first aid kit. It's in our saddle bag on our horses as the first aid kit. And I feel like it's a great introduction for folks who are learning to have both of them. Plus, I've learned over the years, some people, they're like, I don't know if I want to take the drops, but I've totally used the rub. And then there's the folks that have more either acute and or chronic pain, where they're taking the drops, twice a day. Maybe they're doing 6 drops twice a day, and then they're using the rub for breakthrough pain. So I thought with this offer, we would give you one of each so you can experience it. You can always gift one away, right? It's great to have. One of the folks in my community, she buys the oil and she gives it out to homeless people who have dogs.
Oh,
To
wow.
help them, because those dogs, right, they're underserved. The humans are too. And she shares with them, if the human wants to take the drops, they can do that too. And the CBD oil is safe even for people who have experienced addiction issues, right? It's important that there's no danger, right, of them affecting that. So we work with it in the way that we can, that we feel comfortable, and we move forward. I'm thinking about another person whose mother had a tumor growing on her kidney, and she was like 89, I believe it was. And so they couldn't do surgery on her. And the medications that they had for her, I mean, I can't even imagine the pain of a tumor growing inside, right, where there's no room for it. And they had heavy hitting, pain relievers for her, but they would take an hour to 2 hours to activate, and she would be in excruciating pain. So they would use our CBD, and in minutes she would have relief.
Mm.
And she would go from being in excruciating pain to like having a conversation and being good until her heavy hitting meds kicked in. And it was such a godsend for them, right, to not have their mother be in that pain all the time. I'm hearing the same things, with animals, again, whether they're in an acute situation, whether they're at an end of life piece where we're trying to give them some comfort. But in this special, you get a bottle of the drops, right? And that's a 1/2 ounce. And there's in each bottle, my grower and I go back and forth because I don't ever want to oversell anything. So I always say there's at least 250 drops. And he's like, I think it's closer to 275. Every time I count it, it seems like it's closer. But again, I never want to oversell something. So you've got that. And then the jar of rub is the 1 ounce size. And depending on, right, how often and how much you're using is going to determine how long it will last. For most folks, taking 6 drops twice a day, that bottle's going to last about 21 days. The rub, using it multiple times throughout the day on topically, wherever it's closest to the area that's got the discomfort or the pain, or the eczema or rosacea or whatever is going on with skin issues, that jar of rub is going to last 4 to 6 weeks on that. So I wanted to give you guys a discount on those two. But like I said, so that's $99. You're saving money versus buying them individually. And then you're ready to try that. You're also getting an access page that talks about dosing so that you can learn some of the science behind it as well. And you get the audible frequencies of the cannabis plants, right? The 90-second aspect, as well as the 20-minute running of that. I also give you a link to one of my favorite CBD education sites that shows actual peer-reviewed studies and what's coming through for, and you look it up by topic, right? So Addison's or Cushing's or renal issues, and you can find that. I really, like I said, I am so profoundly grateful for the ability to see the energetics that are going on, right, in an animal or a human, and to be able to help them move through that while working with the plant medicine. So we added a private 30-minute session with me, which is great, right? In a couple of minutes, I can give you a good preview here of what's going on. But imagine if for 30 minutes, my energy is focused on you and or your animals while we're looking at what's presenting itself. And you get a bottle of the drops, you get a jar of the rub, which as soon as you order, that'll be shipped out. And you'll also have your information for booking, scheduling the consult with me. And we can look in there and I can help you tweak the dosing that you're using to make it the most effective. So, and right, understand those energetics behind it and what you can do to help move that along. So I'm honored to be able to offer this. And this is good. We've got those prices are with US shipping, and that does include Alaska and Hawaii. There are additional shipping charges, of course, for international shipping, but that's all laid out when you go to the page.
And it's safe to ship this. It's legal to ship it to different places, and there's no customs issues, anything, right?
Absolutely. And I've got my tips and tricks of the trade to make it go through even easier. I've not had any issues in the 4 years that I've been shipping around the world. And I did want to mention that we were able to offer a 2-payment option for those who are getting the special with the private session. So that gives them the opportunity to pay for that in 2 payments.
That's fantastic. Y'all take advantage of this. I used the rub and the drops 3 years ago when I was going through severe adrenal failure. Severe. I could barely go on a 2-mile hike without having to go lay down again. And my dopamine production was way off. And what I loved about the CBD, and I use it on top of these other naturopathic medicines that were prescribed to me, is that the CBD met me where I was. And it could have worked, I had adrenal support. I had everything that supported it and the building blocks for that healing to take place. But what also happens in the hormonal balance is the pituitary is the gateway for it. And so if your pituitary isn't functioning properly, the others are just trying to support and working overtime also. So the intelligence of how this plant medicine works to meet what is needing support in different ways, whether it's the nervous system, the hormonal system, the brain chemistry, your emotions, all of it. It's such a beautiful ally in that way, Anna Marie. And I just wanted to give credit where credit was due, because it was part of my healing journey, and that, which is also one of the most expansive times in my life for me to be able to go that deep into that suffering and confusion, and not producing dopamine takes you into severe depression. Going through severe adrenal fatigue really puts you in a different relationship with your physicality, and feeling helpless in all of that until you finally meet someone who understands and can support, brought me into a state of compassion like I've never had. I thought I was pretty compassionate and empathic before then, but going through the direct experience I'm sharing with y'all, I get some of these things that are coming up for you in ways that I couldn't have 3 years ago when I was going through that experience. So again, being with that journey and to be open to receiving the support of what's available to you, it's just, I'm so grateful that we're able to offer something like this, and this intelligence, this technology, these allies that are here for you now, makes me so happy. So again, y'all take advantage of the special offer. The link for the offer, and we're going to get some more Q&A here in a second, y'all. The link for the special offer is in the chat box, April just typed it in again because she's being generous with me today. Or again, open up a new tab, go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Anna Maria 29, and it'll take you to that same special offer page. And again, take advantage of it. All right, Anna Maria, you open to taking some more Q&A?
Yes, it's my favorite part.
Let's do it. Me too. All right, Joanne, let's go to you first. Welcome.
Hi, well, thank you for having me on. I love watching you both and hearing all the wonderful information you pass on to us and just giving us, empowering us to move forward in our journey. I really love that. And Anna Maria is amazing. She's somebody I know from classes and that. And I tell you, I've had my family try CBD oil before, and it was from, I won't mention the company, but my family refused to take it anymore and they didn't notice anything. But I feel so strongly about how amazing she is that I'm actually going to get some of this for me. So, yeah. So thank you so much for bringing that.
People, right? Like I always have some in my pocket or something. And so I'll be like, just take a couple drops, right? Like I'll feel in for them, muscle test into it. And then, you know, I can't even tell you how many bottles I end up giving away half the time because people are like, oh, let me try some more.
Well, I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm excited about this deal you're offering. I'm going to get some of that.
Joanne, did you have a question for Anna Maria?
Absolutely.
Joanne, did you have a question for
I do. I'm hoping that you can give me some kind of idea if you think this would help my Smokey. I have a cat that I've had for 16 years, and she's my baby. And Anna Maria knows a bunch of challenges and yucky stuff I've gone through over the last 6 months, or actually last 2 years. Well, so she's been basically my support animal. And I found out yesterday she has stage 2 kidney disease. So, I know it's not, I don't know that it would save her, but would this, do you feel like this would be something that would help prolong her life in a good way, that she'd be healthier and happier?
Yeah, yes, a couple things. The first thing is, you know, I'm not sure what kind of diet she's on, but that a wet food of some sort. At this point, you're not going to get her to start eating raw, but a wet food is going to be really helpful, right? Because she needs more of that water. Absolutely, CBD for any kind of renal issues. It helps with the inflammation that's going on in that renal system. And remind me how much your cat weighs approximately.
And Joanne, unmute yourself. I muted you for a second. I apologize.
No worries. I turned my car off. I'm over in California, so y'all are probably at home. Y'all are at home, and I just got off work. But I didn't want to miss you guys. She's 16, and she's always eaten really good food. So
I would be doing. Let me just feel in here and ask her a couple questions. I would be doing 4 drops. Twice a day, mixed into her food. Now with cats, some cats, I've got people who shake the bottle and the cat comes running and licks the drops. I've got other cats that are like, oh, hell no. No way. So I would mix it in with the food. Don't just put it on top, mix it in. And then email me, because there's another kidney formula of herbs that I've used with great success with different cats. And then for you, looking at those places of disappointment, the places of irritation, the places, right? Yeah, I don't even have to. It's, of course, your beloved is going to be right there riding the waves with you, and you have been through it. Like you said, when you said 6 months, I was like, let's stretch that out a little bit longer, because you've really been going through it.
Beautiful, Joanne. Thank you so much for calling in. And yeah, just
real quick question though. I was wondering, what is, so this has, listening to the first woman you were speaking with, does her disease have something to do with me? Or
It's
is it just
never-
all the turmoil we've been going through as a family?
Right? There's a lot that's going on in general, and our animals are designed to take on the extra energy, right? That we can't or don't know how to transmute. It's never our fault, but the added energy that we're not able to move will then, right, go on to them, and it will deposit itself wherever, right? And typically deposit itself in the area of the body that correlates with the issues that have been going on. So I would, especially we've got this new moon coming up, I would do a ceremony and just dump it all out, right? Like, this is what's been going on. This is where I'm pissed. This is where I'm sad. This is where I'm, exasperated. Just lay it all out. So what's going on, how you feel about it. And the third step, stand in your truth, which is I'm creating peace and harmony and opening up deeper to my abilities. You know my spiel with you, so.
As you always tell me. Thank you so much to both of you. Many
Thank you,
blessings.
Joanne. Blessings to you as well. Thank you for calling in. All right, let's go to our next caller. We're going to take some more chat questions, some more callers. So y'all, we're going, no worries. Beth, let's go to you. Let's get you to unmute, please. Hi, Beth.
Hi, John. I haven't seen you in a while. I've always working at this time, so I'm so excited that I could be on the call today. And
We're excited to have you here. Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much. And Anna Maria, it's wonderful to see you.
Yes.
Some things that have come up during the call, which I didn't have a specific. Okay, so like when you talked about the way there was a pet who wasn't absorbing, and I have a very, I know I don't seem to absorb well, and I have a high salt, low salt thing, and I'm always drinking and I can't quench. So that was kind of similar. And also when you were talking about something, I think it was with John, about the desire, about where, I felt something inside me that maybe there's some desires I've given up on or something. And so I feel something around that as well. And I do have some other physical things, but I just wanted to see if there's anything that you were getting, Anna Marie, that you wanted to share with me.
Well, what's coming through really strong, right? Like, most people are motivated to start working with CBD because, right, my shoulder hurts or my whatever hurts. And it's great because they get real results, right? In 30 minutes, they know, did that do it? Did it do it enough? Do I need to take a little bit more next time? But where I found some profound movement for people, that then an extra benefit was these other physical things clearing up when we take it, right? Because we're on our path of expansion and we're looking to go deeper, right? We know what we know about energy and how it flows, but to work with the plant in more of a ceremonial way, to bring those, gently nudge those desires back forward and give us that pause, right? Where normally that lower thinking mind's going to come in and give you every reason why you can't, why you shouldn't, why you don't. And it's going to give you enough pause to allow, right, the building, the tumescing of the desire to come back. And so when we're using it in that kind of ceremonial way, especially for you with your field, I would say 2 drops. And I would do it in the morning, like before you go into your practice or wherever you're going to do that, wherever you're going to be intentioning. Some things maybe before your journaling time, right? It takes 30 minutes to activate. So, that's a great time to sit and journal. But when you take it, make sure you play the plant music, because we want those harmonics to get in there and fill in the gaps where our brain has been like, oh yeah, no, thank you.
That's good. I feel like I give a lot in my work also, but it's taking that time to have more kind of personal ceremony.
Yes.
That's something I have to do more of.
Well, and then what you have is an accountability partner, right? Because the CBD is your partner, and you're like, I'm willing to commit to you, right, for the next 30 days. And then if for some reason in our brain, it changes it up versus just letting ourselves down and not really doing it. So it's a powerful ally that we can really it's a plant guide. And if you're working with that plant guide in that intentional way, it's not just you, and you have real support and the amplification of those two fields coming together to create the next unfolding.
Okay, great.
I love this, Beth. This is a question I want to ask for all of us, but you're inspiring it. What would be the benefits for Beth or any of us who want to drop into more of that space to be really conscientious and have ceremony, to take the CBD ceremoniously, intentionally being with it? What would that amplify for us potentially?
Yeah, I keep it in my medicine bag, right? Because before I go into ceremony, I do it. If I'm with other people, I give it to them to take as well. And it's from that place, again, the way that it drops you into the heart space. That's the piece. And that's what we're needing. It's not taking you out of your head or putting you in an altered state, right? We can use the drum for that piece, but to have that plant ally and consciously remember, intentions are superpower, intentionally connect with it. That's why I think to do it before we go into our own ceremony, right? Like before I do the medicine wheel, my medicine wheel practice, I take it at the house before I walk out to do my practice. So to incorporate this when we're in those places, and for courage, right? So many of us feel the desire calling us, feel that next piece trying to open up, but we're so terrified. It's not even fear, it's like terror about taking that next step, and letting that ancient ally help prop you up and remind you of who you truly be, not who you've settled for. And to work with it in that way, to bring you into the heart space and then open up the possibilities. So I would go very close to what I suggested for Beth. If people are wanting to use it as an ally in their own expansion, you don't need a lot, right? 2 drops under the tongue, held for the 90 seconds, working with the plant music, and then going into your ceremony.
And even as easy suggestions for ceremonial, just super easy. Take 2
Oh
drops.
my goodness.
Take 2
Yeah,
drops
my favorite is
yeah.
to just have 4 rocks, right? And have them represent the 4 directions. And then you either stand in between them and you call for the help, because remember, those rocks are also harmonic energies that are shielding you from the outside ordinary energy and amplifying that energy. I mean, we could keep going layer and layer and layer in deeper, but 4 rocks, or you and a tree, or you and your dog, you and your cat dropping into the heart space and going from there is the simplest ceremony.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can even take it before you take a shower to be with the water element, with the intention of being with that. You can take it before you go to bed and be with the intention of the intelligence running through you, and even the consciousness of the subconscious of what wants to be revealed, and see how that, it's so easy to be in ceremony. It's the intention and the reverence for how you're showing up for yourself and inviting the plant ally to meet you there that really ignites that ceremonial space. And of course, Anna Maria has like 1,001 ways to do ceremony also. So always check with Anna Maria. And again, it's a special offer to know more about your capacity in any of these ways. Yeah, the CBD oil, the plant ally. And Anna Maria is like, she's a direct transmission of what you're just ready to receive for yourself as well. So the one-on-one session, plus the plant ally, plus the consciousness of you and your intention, it's the places that you can go are remarkable, truly. Beth, thank you so much for calling in. It's wonderful.
Okay.
That was beautiful. So good
Oh,
to
thank you.
connect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
All right. So we have a questions. Are there any issues using other supplements or medication in combination with the CBD?
The beautiful thing, again, when we're working in nature, we haven't found the interactions, the unwanted interactions. What we're actually finding is the CBD helps increase the potency. So like, I'll just give an example. The folks that I've worked with epilepsy, right? Either in their children or in the animals, what I've noticed is I absolutely don't have them stop their medications, right? Because you want to stay on that, what they're going to notice, and they'll work with their practitioner. They'll see again less seizures, less severe, more time in between them, and then they can start to work with the medications, bringing it down. So my recommendation is always don't change anything until you've consulted, right, your practitioner who knows. And again, time and time again, right? I think about a woman who was listening to Beyond the Ordinary. We were talking a few years ago, and she was taking it because her oxygen levels she couldn't keep them where they needed to be. And so she thought she'd try it, and her doctor said, well, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working. And she's like, well, I'm doing CBD. I hope that's okay. And he's like, keep it up, right? So then your doctor is in on it. And what I've heard is even if they don't know, they're usually like, well, we're seeing results. Let's just keep up with that and keep moving through. And it is being more and more accepted in the mainstream medical community. And you really want to look at quality because,
Right.
it used to be if you bought some cheap stuff, you just wasted your money. But I have read too many medical journals where the cheap stuff has actually killed the animals that they were, and I'm not for animal testing, but it actually killed them when it should have been helping them because of the toxicity of what they were using and how they were working with the plant. And it's, you have to have integrity when you work with plant medicine. So I am like ridiculous with my standards and it means a lot to me because it makes a difference. And it's honoring of the plants when we're not mixing in harmful chemicals. And one of the comments in that cannabis experts journal that my grower was featured in is he was like, the first thing that people think is, oh, the bottle's so small. And he's like, because it's all natural goodness. He's like, there's no fillers. It's every drop is potent plant medicine. And he goes, you don't need hype when you've got nature on your side. And that was right from a writer in this periodical. So that was moving to me.
Amazing. Thank you for answering that. And thank you for the question. All right, let's continue here. Questions. We're going to get some more live questions also, but I want to read this question from Saradha. Saradha writes, my dog is only 2.5 years old. He's a sweet soul, and he already had knee replacement and now has seizures. He didn't respond to CBD, and he's now on Keppra, a conventional medicine. I'm super sensitive to energy, just like him. I want him off the Keppra and be only on CBD. I'm having so much difficulty to accepting the whole thing that he's only 2.5 years old and having a cluster seizures, etc. I'm dissolving a 22-year marriage, and he came into my life 1.5 years ago to help my kids and me move on. Do we have any suggestions?
Yes, first of all, like I said, quality matters. I've had people try. Here's the two things. First, people don't know what to look for, right? Because you're like, well, what's the difference between the gas station CBD or, this CBD or that CBD? So first, people don't know what to look for. And it's the Wild West in CBD right now. People are doing whatever the hell they want. There's no regulation. So you have to trust whoever is processing it for you, that they're following the way of nature. And the second thing is people don't know how much to use, right? So they've seen the videos where someone with Parkinson's has like 1 drop and they don't shake anymore. Well, that's not always how it works. Sometimes they have to take more drops. Sometimes, right, you have to take 9, 10, 20, a whole dropper full, but every body is different. So to work with me to look at what's going on, we can look at the energetics, we can look at the physical, right? Epilepsy it's a complex brain issue, easier to deal with in animals than in humans, I've found over the years, but still it takes these little steps, right? We start at 1 dose and we see what happens. And then maybe we go up, maybe we increase the amount, but we're going to start to see we're on the right track by the reduction in the severity and the increased time between them. And then we can start working on the heavy hitting medicines and start to phase those out. But we got to look at that from the beginning. And when, like you said, that piece, we want to look at those energies that emotion that's up for you around this 2-year-old dog being up against it, right? I can guarantee you there's some inner child stuff that's being poked at for you. And this is your opportunity to not only help your dog heal, but heal your inner child. And that's the beauty of working with animals. They help us heal those parts that we might not be able to get to any other way.
That's beautiful. I don't know what the complications are around the conventional medicine Zepra, but I do want to share for everybody that there's miracles in everything.
Yes.
There's miracles in everything. And so if we're having harsh judgments against something, I don't want them to be on X because of things that we've heard and things that are out there or a fear. Work with the plant medicine also and ask the intelligence to support you in supporting you finding the right medication, whether it's pharmaceutical or natural, because there's combinations that really are miraculous. They truly are. And so let's be open about the support that's ready to support you.
And that fear, that's a vibration, right? And that fear is way worse than the medication. The
Right.
fear that we put in there and direct at our animal or at our aging parents or at ourselves, and right, that aversion. My cat just stopped by to say hi. Hi, Sammy. That aversion that we have where we're so attached to not, we talked a little bit earlier with someone about that, the attachment. I really want this natural thing to work because I'm afraid of the other thing.
Right.
We want to be with that fear. We want to move that fear first because that's what's going to keep showing up over and over.
This reminds me.
We want to be coming from love.
Yeah, this reminds me of the work that we can do using Dr. Emoto's technology. It's like, let's imprint love, let's imprint freedom, let's imprint a higher vibration, even though we may be aware of implications, but let's bring it to its highest vibrational state to support us through whatever transition it's helping us to support through. So it's beautiful. I'm so glad that this came up as part of the question, and blessings to you and your marriage and your transition. And what a beautiful ally you have in your puppy. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just blessings to you all. All right, Tracy, with your cool glasses on, let's get you to unmute.
They're my optical glasses. I'm in the
There
car.
you are. Hi, Tracy.
I'm calling from Australia, and I'm calling. I have a new cat. I say new. I've had it for a year, but I've got lost in time, so it feels like 6 months. And Romina is her name, and she's this most magnificent cat from Siberia. And she was born with a disease in the bowel, as were 4 of her siblings. And her first owner was an old patient of mine. I'm a naturopath and medical herbalist, and I'm a medical astrologer for about 30 years. And so that's the way I work, is the way you've been talking. But now I haven't worked for 10 years, and I've been 6 or 7 of them in depression on the couch and not moving at all. And I've been up for 3 years. And when I got up, Mum said to me, Mum's 91, not out. And Mum said, no more, I'm not looking after your animals. My last was a beautiful Burmese that I inherited also for 19 years. And Jimmy was spectacular and one of my great teachers. So now I'm getting a cat. I know when I get off the couch, I want one. Mummy says, no, 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 I'm not babysitting when you travel. And so I hold back, and I know I'll get a cat when I'm ready, because for me, they're great teachers. Anyway, I get a cat, and one of my old clients, whose file I didn't burn, and, because I'd finished working, I did, and I burned to, send them on. I don't burn out of any.
Yes.
Yeah. I happen to keep. For some reason, I kept half a dozen, and I chose that in depression. I don't know how I chose it, but some part of me did. And she was one of the files. These are people I work with every week for sometimes 10 years. And so, I inherited her cat, and it's a Siberian, and it had a bowel disorder. And the woman who breeds them, there's only 3 breeders in Australia. The woman who breeds them said there was no problem. Anyway, she's been struck off for the time being. That's all I know. And they've kept me out of that. I don't want to be caught in that. But Romina's getting well. And she's been, I think, with me 6 months, but shit, it's a year. And now her poo's fabulous, and I'm about to go on a holiday. So I know.
What's your question, Tracy?
I might even cancel it yet. I know.
Tracy, what's the question?
Well, the question is, I was going for a month, now I'm going for a week, and I want to know who Romina is and what she's helping me with. I'm at a whole new stage in my sort of life,
Let's see
and
what comes through. Yeah.
yeah, I'm working out how to come back in the world after 12 years out of it. I don't want to be a consulting naturopath, herbalist, medical astrologer. I'm ready to do a new thing, and she's part of it.
Well,
And
right,
I'm
it
just
makes
wondering
perfect
what,
sense that
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's
what
it's
are
see
you
what's coming
hearing?
together
through.
magic. Of
And
course, she's going to
unfortunately,
help you bring your magic back out. And because of who you are and because of what you know, right? You're not going to just have her as a pet. Of course, this is your familiar, this is your partner, this is your new partner in this journey because the two of you are going to do something together. I can feel that. She's also helping you, right? Like you did the heavy lifting in moving through the depression, but now, you know, having her there and depending on you, right? It gets us into motion that we wouldn't do on our own, right? When we can just stay curled up in bed and not get out for weeks, you know? So to really bring this, you know, go into ceremony with her and ask her what she wants because she's like really vocal over here, right? And she's like, she knows this, she knows
yeah.
this stuff. This is your next level of brilliance coming out. This is your next adventure. Very, very exciting. And right, we do know the CBD can help with those bouts of depression because it helps elevate the mood in a natural way. But what I'm getting from your sweet cat is do ceremony together and let
Yes.
her reveal it because she's got a lot to say here and it's exciting what you're going to be doing.
I know. And when I go on a
because-
journey, when I go shamanic journey, you know, with a woman I work with from America, the cat she's now getting on my lap in the last 3 or 4 days. And so I realize she's so around me and she's just, like you said, she's probably talking to you right now. And I'm outside the house. If I went in, you know, I'd love to show you her, but I've just arrived outside the front. So I'll join another time and maybe have a private session with you. And Anna Maria, I've watched you for 2 years on Zoom and come into different things. And I really appreciate and love your work. Thank you.
She's wonderful. Tracy,
I'm
thank
so
you.
And
grateful
you
for
too,
your
John.
life
Yeah.
too. This is very
Thank you.
exciting what you guys are
Yeah.
going to do together. This cat's up to big things.
I know, because she's getting naughty. She wants to go over the fence, and I'm learning how to give her boundaries and not shut her down like everyone tried to do to me. You know?
Ding, ding, ding. You
Beautiful.
are so
Tracy.
on the right track.
Blessings to you, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
I want to take another question that came in because I just think so many of us have experienced this. Again, blessings to you, Tracy. Before we do that, April, put in the special offer one more time in the chat box. Y'all, the special offer, you can get the oil, the ointment, the songs, the resources from Anna Maria, $99. And then if you want to add a private session with Anna Maria, which I highly recommend, you cover so much in 30 minutes, it's crazy. And it doesn't have to be about the medicine. It can be about other things that are coming up also, but to have the support, the relaxation, the nervous system, the body support, whatever it is through the plant ally, if you choose to be in whatever type of ceremony you choose to be in a relationship with it, it's there to support you as well. The private session alone is just gold. So I hope you take advantage of that as well. And the replays, we're going to run the replays all throughout the week. We'll send a link out a little bit later. You can always find replays at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. Okay, I have a question that came in from Linda, and I think a lot of us have experienced this in different ways. But Linda writes, I had a birch tree sawed down without my knowledge, and I knew nothing about the tree being sawed down. I cried for 3 days. Any messages from my beautiful tree? Linda, I'm so sorry. I can relate.
I know, right? You can feel the shockwaves going to the community because we're all so connected. It's like hearing about any other act of violence, right? As I'm tuning in, right, like the tree understands, and you have to remember too, even after they've, you know, cut it down, even if they've removed the stump, the tree is still has its essence, its energy under the ground. It's still feeding everybody around. If they didn't remove the stump, it's even better. But if they did, it doesn't matter. It's still happening under there. So know that the tree is still there. Know that the tree doesn't hold this against you. Right away, it came through like, I know you had nothing to do with this. And so this birch tree is so important from the standpoint, I love, again, we called in all of our medicine men and women selves here, and everything's pointing back to this shamanism, back to the journey. Birch trees are traditionally known for vision quests. You are being asked twofold to do a vision quest, and you can do something elaborate, right, where you go out into the forest for multiple days, or you could just create a prayer circle in your home, in your meditation area, and first do a ceremony honoring the tree, asking the forgiveness from the humans who were not conscious, right? And ask what else needs to be known. And then for you, because I feel like this is divine conspiracy that's bringing you into this space for you to be in there to know, what do you do with this now, right? Like this unconsciousness, we see it in so many places, and here it's affected you so closely. But this idea of vision quest, again, it's not about an eye for an eye, it's about a bigger understanding, a greater perspective. And I'm really feeling eagle energy wanting to be on that journey with you with the birch tree.
That's
So
beautiful. And for Linda, I would even say, as Anna Maria speaks about this, also be in gratitude for the tree and its journey, for how it showed up for you, because it is evoking this part of you that is ready to transform and be elicited through you. It be illuminated through you now. So the tree in that also, it's serving its purpose, and the ripple effects that get created by you being in that space and honoring and growing and nurturing others as its roots are nurturing still. So it's profound. It's profound just what's occurring in so many different levels. So blessings to you, Linda. Anna, one more question I have to ask. Y'all, the special offer link is in the chat box. You'll find it there. But Beth is asking how long the package lasts, and she coincidentally just bought some for the first time. So if the package lasts a while, so please let her know. Yeah. So I think you talked about that earlier, but let's go through it just one more
yeah,
time.
it's going to depend, right? So the package is the bottle of the drops and the jar of the rub. And so in that bottle, again, depending on who you're listening to, me or my grower, it's 250 drops. I say do that because that's what all my math is based off of. So if you're taking 2 drops once a day, right, that bottle, those 250 drops are going to last you a long time, 125 days or whatever that is. If you're using them again for like the pain issues where it's, arthritis or chronic pain in a joint, you're probably going to be using something more like 6 drops twice a day. That 12 drops divided by the 250 makes it the bottle lasts for about 21 days. And then, right, these are all done to traditional herbalists processes, the way you do it. So by law, we have to say this is good for a year. But the truth is, when it's done and it's put in the amber bottles, that it will last ongoing, right? Like I carry mine with me in different places all the time. I don't worry about its stability. It stays very stable. The biggest thing is you want to shake it up to mix it up. But in terms of a shelf life, by law, I have to say a year. But the truth is, it's actually much longer. And once you start realizing what you can use it for, every day something will happen. I'm like, did you dose? And James will be like, I'm on my way over there, right? We keep it on the counter. And so depending on how you're using it, will determine how you go through it.
And Beth corrected me also, but Beth, it was always worth repeating anyway about the shelf life. But Beth was also asking how long the package lasts, the special offer lasts on Beyond the Ordinary. And we'll have that open until Anna Maria gets so full on private sessions that she says, please stop. But with the special offer, we'll continue through replays until mid-December, most likely. So it'll be up a couple of more months so you can come back and access it. As long as Anna Maria tells me, okay, we've got enough supply. Okay, the special offer can only last so long because I'm doing another promotion, or I've got to get it back to regular price or whatever. But
Which is another thing, right? Like it says, you'll get it in 2 weeks. The truth is you will get it much sooner, most likely US folks. I've got that buffer because, right, sometimes I got to go meet my grower and get some more. So usually the order comes in. These ones that are coming in tonight, those will go out tomorrow. I frequency them and they get packed up to get shipped out. So whoever's ordering tonight, it'll go out the next day. Weekends, right? We live rurally. The post office isn't open, so you'd have a couple days there. And then of course international. What we see typically 4 weeks to Canada and 4 to 6 weeks everywhere else, just depending on it. Although it does seem like the Postal Service has worked on its international shipping, and I've seen them do a little better.
Awesome. This has been fascinating, Maria. And I love that we get into the conversation about plant allies, that we get into our familiars and our pets. We had questions coming in about horses. I'm sorry we didn't get to that, y'all, but type in questions. You can send Anna Maria questions also, and support around products, around private sessions as well. And I know that we'll find a way to support the support that you're looking for. Anna Maria, as always, it's just always so wonderful and expansive and so heart-touching to be with you on these calls. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And the horses aren't going to let me out, right, without saying something for them. We have two horses, 22 and 24. And, for people, that's older for a horse, right? Who might not know that's older, but they have a very natural life. But we've started now, right? Like when we go on longer rides to help with recovery, they'll get some drops. And I know they're 1,800 pounds, but each individual is different. And you wouldn't have to necessarily do, a bottle for a horse. We seriously will do, 6 to 10 drops.
Wow.
The horses love it. Sometimes I'll put it on the hay, sometimes on grain, or just in their lip. It just depends. We were also out on trail ride once, and one of our horses took a spill, and we gave the CBD right away he kind of fell on his nose a little bit. So we got it rubbed in on his nose. We got it in him right away, and we didn't have any limping or anything. The recovery was real quick. So
wow.
Anything that has a backbone is going to have an endocannabinoid system that the CBD compounds will interact with to bring balance. So that's the big question. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk here and to go at the energy, right? Because it's more than just about a product. I'm really committed, right? My whole life is about service to us expanding, going through my own healing journey of my mind, right? And learning there's another way to do this. And it's great that I talk to plants and animals, but it's more important that you remember that you have these abilities as well. And connecting with the plant intelligence in this way is one way to open you up to that.
Beautiful. You're so generous. You're so amazing. Thank you so much. Safina, you're amazing also. All of y'all, just so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for just being exactly who you are, what you are, the love and how you express it. It's wonderful. And again, it's great being with you. Y'all take advantage of the special offer, have your private session, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the next call. Have a great evening.